Hello and welcome to another course. My name is Murtaza Brahmi, and in this course, in this short course actually, we will introduce Blender. Currently, we are using 4.0.1, which is new release. So let's dive into that directly. By clicking on General, we will be guided inside Blender. So let's talk about some tools in Viewport. Here we can rotate. Let's turn on this add-on, which is really cool. You can follow along easier. You can see that I'm holding down middle mouse, right click, left click. If I type something, it will show up there. So middle mouse will rotate around our word. If I want to zoom in or back, hold down Control and middle mouse and it will move smoothly. You can just scroll up and down in case if you want to zoom in or out, but Control and middle mouse is more smoother. Holding down Shift and middle mouse will make a pan. So you can make pan from here as well. So hold down this hand icon and it will make a pan. So here we have the zoom. If you hold down this button, you can zoom in or out. It is like Control and middle mouse. Then here we have the orthographic mode. So you can see that I'm in your user perspective. You can click on here to be or switch to orthographic mode. So this is helpful. Even you can take render animation with this method like 3D orthographic and not being in perspective mode, which we are seeing our word. So, and you can rotate by holding down these guys, but holding down middle mouse is a lot faster. But there is another option. You can click on each of these axes. So you can see that we have x-axis, which is the red color, y-axis, and the z-axis, which is hidden under here. We can turn it out, but let's turn it out by default. And you can click on each of these and you will be guided to each orthographic mode. So in this case, we are looking from top orthographic, which is Z. If I click once again, it is negative Z, which is bottom orthographic. Click here and right and left. So just play around with those. You can use, instead of here, you can use numpad 7, 9, or 1, 3, 7, and 9. So 1 is front, and 3 right, top, and etc. So you can play around with those. And the other buttons like numpad 4 and 6 will make a pan. For example, let's be in front orthographic. Now I would like to see this piece, the edge of these models. So I can press 4 and it will rotate each 15 degrees for me. Now it is almost 45 degrees angle, which I can see this edge. You can press 6, number 6 in case if you want to inverse that. Then 2 and 8 will do the same thing, but in vertical direction. So we have horizontal by 4 and 6 and vertical with 2 and 8. So this is really helpful, especially when we will dive into modeling. Okay, now we have so a lot of toolbars, sidebars we have here. Okay, so here we have all the tools, which we will talk about this. In the sidebar, we have the transform. You can grab that. So let's talk about this and combine these with the toolbars. So first of all, in the toolbars, we can press T to turn it on or off. So T for toolbars. The sidebar is N. You can press N to turn it on or off, or simply click on this small icon. Okay, so that's about it. And let's make a cool thing to see things better. So I will talk about this. So here we have the show viewport overlays for each of these modes, we have different setting. Which of these will do different setting? So let's talk about toolbars, then we will talk about those later. So now we have actually a select box. If you hold a second, you will see other option like tweak, which you can grab that, and the select box, circle, etc. So let's, for example, here we have three objects. We can select those by circle really easily. So make sure to select it their origin point. If you select here, it doesn't select, but the origin point. You can see each object has a point. It's called for origin point. So the circle, the lasso works like that. It's like Photoshop has as well these things. So in the modeling section, we will use these. So in this case, it's just a preview of what these are. The next is 3D cursor, which does play a really important role in Blender. So the 3D cursor, we can do a lot of things, such as, for example, if you add a new object, we can go to add and add a new cube. You can see that our new object will be placed exactly at the center of our 3D cursor. So whenever the cursor is located, 3D cursor is located, each new object which we will add, it will come exactly at their place. So it can be whatever we imagine. Mesh all of these objects. A Suzanne or so. So I will discuss about that later. For example, in case if I would like to bring the monkey in the corner of these, so how we can do that? Well, there's a lot of techniques. So because this video or course is not going to be too long, so I will try to pick those important points. So when we talk about cursor, so let's talk about the pie menu as well. This option, which is really helpful. For example, let's click on select box to select things easier. Then I press tab to go to edit mode. I will talk about edit mode in the upcoming videos, but it is just an example to explain it a bit better and easier. So we can select each object and we can click here, then switch to edit mode. Or simply you can press tab. You can see I select the object and I press tab and I will switch to edit mode. Then for each object we have vertex, edges and faces. So the shortcut for those is 1, 2 and 3. 1 vertex. We can now grab all the vertex. So we can select, then press G to grab that. Then we have G, 2 for edges. Now we have just edges available, and 3 is for face. We can press S to scale it down or so. For example, if I want to bring it at this corner, I can, or let's do that here. I can select it, then press Shift S to open up this pie menu. Then we can click on cursor to select it. Just move your mouse here and then release the keys. Okay, so you can just press Shift S and boom. Okay, now that we moved through the cursor there, so we can select actually the Suzanne, press Shift S again, but in this time we choose selection to cursor because we selected this object and we want to move that to the location of 3D cursor. Boom. And you can see that Suzanne has been placed exactly at the center of 3D cursor, but its origin point actually has been located there. So in case if I just select the Suzanne and I press tab, I can move it entire things by pressing G Now its origin point is still there, but I just moved the entire body of this, entire head of this guy. And you can see that if I just grab it, boom, we have its origin point right there. Shift S, selection to cursor, and it will just be something like that. So I will discuss each of these later. Let's delete everything by pressing A. You can select everything, then press X and choose delete. Then I would like to recenter the 3D cursor. So press Shift S and choose cursor to world origin. Now we can press on add and go to mesh, add a new cube or mesh. Instead of here, you can press Shift S and Shift A. Okay, Shift S is pie menu, and Shift A is the hotkey for bringing the new object. So add a cube. Now we have that. The next is move. You can move in different axes, but the hotkey for that in X, Y, or Z, the hotkey for that is G. If you grab that, you can press G. So press G and name the axis. So now I will type X to move in X axis. Then grab it and, for example, type Y or Z or each axis you want to move your object. The cool thing is that if I just grab it and then I press X, now I would like to move it 3 meters. So it just can enter 3 and it will move at here 1, 2, and 3 meter. Each of these units is meter. So if I go to scene, you can open up the unit and you can see that the length is at meter. So this is really good to know. So we have the move, then we have rotation. Let's press Ctrl Z to undo that. Ctrl Z will undo, and Ctrl Shift and Z will redo. Undo and redo. So the rotation is do the same thing. We have all the axes, X, Y, and Z. You can rotate, but you can rotate each axis and holding down. By holding down Ctrl, it will snap to each increments. I think each 5 degrees or so. Then you have these options which you can type each angle, for example 90, or let's type 45 degrees. You can see these rotated 45 degrees now. So you can press R. The hotkey for that is R, and just name the axis you would like to rotate. For example, in this case, I would like to rotate it in Z axis, so R, Z, and 45. And that's it. The next is the scale. So I press Ctrl Z. The scale is the same. X, Y, and Z is available. So the hotkey for that is S, and type the axis you would like to scale it. So for example, I press S, Y, and I would like to scale it 4 meter. Then I press 4. You can see 1, 2, 3, and 4. But you might ask what this button for. Actually, this button is means that you will scale in all direction except this blue, and blue is Z-axis. So you can see that it will scale in X and Y, but there is no Z-axis. And the same thing for this guy. Red is X-axis, so it will block out the X-axis and it will scale in X, in Y and Z. So the hotkey for that is S for scale, and Shift and name the axis. For example, Shift and Z. I would like to block out the Z-axis, and I I want to make a pillar like this. Or Shift and press S and Shift and Y. Now I would like a pillar like in this direction. Or Shift and X. Okay, so that's important to know. And here we have all the transform. I never use that, but in some case it might be useful. And let's talk about these assets right here a bit quickly. But I think we can do that in the next part.